If you think that the video game industry could be more crazy than it is right now, then let me introduce you to the video game crash of 1983. Basically, back in 83, the video game market was booming, and the Atari 2600 was the most popular second gen console on the market. It wasn't the most advanced by any means, but it did have the hottest video game of the time, Space Invaders. Hell yeah! This led to the sales of the console quadrupling and became Atari's only successful product ever. This boom for Atari made other companies want to slice the money cake, and companies such as Odyssey and Television, ColecoVision, and Vectrex jumped jumped in, just went in and just started taking all their profits. I mean, ColecoVision became the biggest competitor to Atari, and they had 17% of the market, while Atari had a stunning 58%. So there really wasn't that much competition. I mean, Coleco gained this huge share by selling Donkey Kong with their consoles, and also having an add-on that allowed for Atari games to be played on their consoles. Now let's take a little detour for a second to learn about four Atari developers that left the company in 1979, 4 years before the crash. These four programmers left Atari because they felt that they should receive the same royalties that actors, directors, and musicians got for other projects in Warner Communications, Atari's parent company at the time. These devs, being so familiar with Atari already, decided that it was a good idea to make video games for the system. After a brief lawsuit that ended with Atari not being able to stop third-party developers from making games for their system as long as they pay royalties to Atari, the four developers formed a little company called Activision. That's right, I shit you not. Activision, the infamous game developer nowadays, is the father of third party developers. Now, obviously, each console had its exclusives, but in 1979, Atari v Activision opened the door for third party developers. These independent devs manufactured many games for the systems. But, as Activision founder David Crane noted, these third party devs had little experience with the Atari, and this led to a lot of market saturation. Market saturation, or commoditization, is when a market is flooded with generic, low quality products that are usually viewed by the average consumer as interchangeable. The sheer volume of games being produced and the boom of the market all led to analysis overestimating the growth of the market. For example, in 1983, the demand for consoles was up 100% from the previous year, but the manufacturers made 175% more consoles than the previous year. That means that they had a huge surplus of consoles. Now, a small surplus isn't bad, but having literally thousands more of your product than the demand means that the company is going to end up losing money just to get their products out of their inventory. Now let's move on to the other main opponent of consoles. A battle as old as time itself. Console versus PC. Home computers had been around since 1977 at this point, and while they were expensive, they did allow for more complicated games, and also allowed for saving progress, which was huge at the time. Home computers also allowed for other things to be done on them, such as accounting and Word documents. Also, they used floppy disks or cassettes instead of cartridges, which made home computer games easier to distribute. Now, the biggest win for the console market was that home computers were expensive as hell. It didn't seem worth it to many people. But in 1982, that all changed. A pricing war between Texas Instruments, who is now most famous for making the TI-84, and Commodore, which I think went out of business, led to home computers becoming as cheap as many consoles, if not cheaper. This combined with people realizing that home computers offered everything a console would offer and more led to decreased console sales. By 1982, the market was so flooded and the competition was so one-sided that retailers tried to return console games, but the developers couldn't issue money back for refunds, so retailers marked the games down as much as 85%. Companies such as Atari had stock drop as much as 75%, and third-party devs either went out of business or switched to home computer developers. Activision was one of those devs. Between 1984 and 85, they downsized, and within 5 years, they only produced games for home computers. Infamously, Atari was so hurt by the crash that they dumped nearly a million surplus video game cartridges in a landfill in Alamogordo, New Mexico. Overnight. By 1985, the crash was beginning to recover. While many factors led to the recovery of the industry, by far the most influential was the rise of the NES, or the Nintendo Entertainment System. Nintendo president at the time, Hiroshi Yamauchi, I'm so sorry, famously said Atari collapsed because they gave too much freedom to third-party developers, and the market was swamped with rubbish games. And Nintendo started giving its seal of approval on games from third-party developers that met their standards. This seal is still seen on Nintendo products today, and Nintendo still makes most of the games for their consoles. The crash ultimately led to the third generation of video game consoles and Nintendo's dominance in the industry until 1994 with the release of the PlayStation. Thank you guys all for watching. This is a super fun video to research. Literally all of my information came from Wikipedia. But there is actually a ton of information on this. It's a really interesting event in the video game industry, and it really did shape the way that video games are made today. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, definitely let me know if you like the video. It's kind of what it's there for. You can also dislike it if you want. Subscribe if you like me and you like my content. And if I got anything wrong, comment please. Actually, or if you have anything to add to this, let me know. If you like, I'll pin it. If it really is, if it's a very huge error or something really interesting, I'll pin it. So also check out the look. Use your eyes to look for the pinned comment. But yeah, thank you guys all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.